Welcome to Wolf's Accurate News Channel. WANC. Of course I'm going to cover the most recent atrocity taking place in the world, so naturally I'm going to start with the Great Cheese Robbery. A high-grade cheddar cheese manufacturer has reported that £350,000 worth of glorious cheese was stolen when robbers pretended that they were wholesalers. It's been noted in the news that one of the suspects could be Russia, who's been deprived of our glorious cheddar cheese on account of all of those horrific war crimes. It's one thing to invade a country and commit unspeakable acts against its populace, but stealing British cheese ranks as the highest. Already it's been mandated that all British children must learn of this tragedy, with the Never Again slogan being reused, as it hasn't really been that effective lately. The only way that you could infuriate the British public more is if you poison Aunt Bessie with plutonium pellets, or if a royal married a black person. Guess which gossip magazine and tabloid readers would consider the worst crime? One thing that hasn't been brought up is the possibility of a false flag cheese conspiracy, much like 9/11, but concocted and aged in caves. Oh, so just like 9/11. The company, who I refuse to acknowledge, is all of a sudden being talked about, and is even being endorsed by Chief Dickhead Jamie Oliver, the man responsible for taking away my curly fries from my school lunches, a grudge that I will take to the grave. North Korea has decided to send a number of troops to Ukraine in a bid for Putin Senpai to notice them. Known by the Russian forces as the K Division, the same thing the flat below me was called at university. The deer leader, which is apparently not an inspiring herbivore, has sent his crack troops, which was what the flat above me was called at university. It's difficult to cover the ongoing Gaza conflict without someone bursting in and saying, "Do you condemn Hamas?" So I make my stance and that of WANC News as a neutral party abundantly clear. Stop blowing up children, you cunts. Take that however you want and apply it to whoever needs it. It turns out it's quite difficult to cover politics on the internet, after Facebook and YouTube clapped me into another dimension for discussing it on my UK election guide video, which I still maintain is funny, despite no one fucking watching it. With that being said, I've definitely learnt my lesson, so in this next section I will definitely not, and I mean not, be talking about the American election. I saw an orange the other day, and it was putrid and shit. I also saw a carrot, but it was so old and mouldy that they decided to change it with cabbage. It's tasteless and unappealing, but better than the orange, I suppose. This concludes the orange versus cabbage section of the video. Celebrity news next. Timothée Chalamet recently turned up undercover for a Willy Wonka lookalike contest, where the primary traits required for the win were to look like a magical twink who's one cattail short of a femboy. Next we head to the markets. £5 for that. Fuck, you know. Next up we have sports, so let's go to Kip Wolf for the US section.
Alrighty there. Frankie Muniz from that Malcolm in the Middle has signed up for a NASCAR truck series. As an expert in NASCAR, you'll find a stand in the middle is not conducive to overtaking.
Thanks, Kip.
Thanks, boss man.
I'm going to talk about a child's lunch meal, and I do it with the same amount of grim misery as I press the no button on giving money to starving children at self-checkouts. I've learned everything about the Lunchly drama entirely against my will. It's essentially about YouTubers making a lunch meal and then some people saying it's shit. That's about it, really. Featuring some of the biggest names in internet culture whom, quite frankly, I could not give a single shit about. Namely, Mr. Beast, Logan Paul, KSI, and Dan TDM. Quite frankly, I find this whole thing damn tedious, and if you don't think that's an award-winning joke, then you can fuck right off. Lastly, I thought I'd choose a fun little topic to end, so I settled on assisted dying. The British, you'd be surprised to learn, haven't already implemented assisted dying on account of being forced to live in places like Milton Keynes, Doncaster and Weston-super-Mare. This has largely been due to the fear that if the option was opened up to the public, that they would be inundated with so many requests to die that the economy would cease to function entirely. Here's a quick economic tip from WANC News. Don't have the money to go to the Swiss Alps to get first-rate treatment with one of those fancy euthanasia pods? No matter. Simply get on your nearest megabus, go directly to London, walk up to your nearest band of hoodlums and tell them all to go suck their nan. This has a 100% fatality rate, and your family can cash in on your life insurance policy. Remember, it's not fraud, it's clever. This concludes WANC News. This has been your host Wolf, and remember, go fuck yourself.